your spirit fly. In STEM City by your side, we'll touch the sky. Students lifting students, hand in hand, together we rise, together we stand. From every rise, together we stand. From every corner, from far and wide, our talents merge, our futures tied. In science, tech, and all the arts, we find our way, we play our parts, reach for the stars, for the stars.
Good afternoon. I'm Moria, your BEYA Stars and Stripes Student Ambassador. Today's Career Day is sponsored by Lockheed Martin, the leading aerospace and defense company. We would like to thank Lockheed Martin for continuing to support our program. Today's guest speaker is marine biologist and chief learning officer at Black in Marine Science, Simone Barkley. She is here to share her insights and stories of success in STEM, and she is a return guest speaker to Career Day. But before we learn about her fascinating journey, let me bring up my fellow student ambassadors, Mimi and Savannah, to share their thoughts on today's opening topic, community. Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, hi, you guys. My name is Savannah Mitchell, and I'm a senior in high school and also a veteran ambassador. And today we're discussing communities. So, we'd like to also invite our viewers to participate as well and let us know what communities are you guys part of? What communities are you guys proud of? You know, we always love to see things from outside perspectives and what's going on in other people's lives. And if you guys have photos, you guys can send them in too. So to start off the conversation, we're going to be speaking about the different ways to define a community. And what community do you guys think you're a part of? Or what do you guys feel like you're a part of, connection-wise?
Well, I can definitely say that I'm a part of the Black community, and I'm a part of the woman the woman community, and the Black woman community. So, yeah, I'd like to. To add on to that, I tend to look for people in my community, especially since I'm going to PWI. So it's like when you see people who look like you, you're like, I gotta, let's stick together.
Right, like I found my people, let me stay with my people. I mean, I feel like it's not really like a let me stay with my people thing, but you feel more connected and more safe when you're around people that look like you. Because with everything that happens in the world, I feel like you just need like a safe space sometimes, especially at the PWI. I feel like a safe space to talk about things and whatnot is always great. So, in that sense. What about you, Mimi?
I definitely agree. I also go to PWI, so I know where you're talking about, Moria, about just like getting out of your way and meeting new people. Being in a community since to being an engineering major, I also identify with the Black STEM community, which is a lot of fun because not only are you seeing more people like you, but people with similar interests. And so it's really cool, even if, it's not also part of the Black community. The STEM community itself is a very big area with a lot of other smart people. So it's really cool hearing everyone's interests and backgrounds, and being interested in engineering, that's already something you guys feel you have in common. So it generally brings us all together.
Wow, I love that so much. The engineering, well, yeah, when you do things, you always want to have a group of people. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be engineering, it can be just being women, it can be like stuff like that, but you always have to have like a safe space. It's always great to have.
Definitely. Exactly. What community are you a part of, Savannah?
I would say I'm a part of the women community and this like the not really STEM community. I feel like more of like the business community or law community, because that's kind of what I'm focusing on now. And that community, but the community that I can definitely say I'm a part of is the fashion community. Now, that has nothing to do with STEM. That has nothing to do with STEM or being a woman, but I feel like when you're in the like in a fashion community, it's like I love seeing other people's like outfits. I love people giving feedback on outfits. I like seeing like, oh, what it was like what's trendy right now, what's in, what's out. Or like even just being like, what can we bring back? Like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought to pair these two things together. Like, I always love a good little girly compliment. Like, oh my god, girl, your outfit looks so good. Like, I love that whole community so bad. Love it down. So for me, that's what I would say.
You're
For
Oh
definitely
my
a
God, I love
fashionista,
fashion.
Savannah.
thank you.
You're always coming. You're always coming on camera with all the different hairstyles. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, stop.
always.
Thank you
No.
too. You guys always look so cute and so professional. Like, I love it.
Thank
Good
you.
engineer.
Literally. So for the next question, I'm gonna ask, what is the community responsibility to you? Like, what do you feel like your part in the community is? Like, is it to give feedback? Is it to like show love? Like, what do you guys think that you're in your community for?
I would
I
definitely say, oh, More, you can go.
no, you can go.
Okay. I would say, I guess, like being in a community, your responsibility in a sense is just helping those around you and, making everyone feel included, I guess when you say, like, for example, even with clubs or organizations, when you're already in an area or a group of people that have similar interests, it's also like up to you to keep everyone engaged and everyone and accepting everyone's ideas and being open to new ideas because if everyone one thinks the same, you'll never grow. And
Yeah,
at the same time, it's a common thing just to keep everyone engaged and included because you can't really have a community if it's just you.
true. I love that perspective actually. Never thought
Thank
about it that way.
I agree. I think that it's your responsibility as the member of a community to kind of be that light for your community and to contribute to it and to make it better.
Hmm. I love that. I actually agree with both of those points. I was gonna say something kind of similar, but I think what I was gonna say is like for me personally, I feel like my responsibility in my community is for feedback. Like I love like not like in a judgy way, obviously, because that's not why you would want to be in a community. That's not progressive or anything, right?
Mhm.
But like just like healthy feedback. Like oh, like if someone was pairing like snake leather with like hot pink, I'd be like, oh, that's an interesting take. I'd be like, oh, okay, but I can see it though. Like it's like a constructive
The vision is
criticism,
there. It's just
right?
not
Vision
executed
is
all
there, right? Like I see your,
the way.
it's just not. That could also go for friendships as well. Like kind of because sometimes you have friends that they can't really take constructive criticism much, but I feel like going back to the whole community thing, like you have to be able to be there for people and give them that space to be happy and open. So, yeah.
I definitely agree with that. Criticism is always helpful. Of course, it depends on how you execute it, but even so, the truth does hurt sometimes. It's always good so you know where your weak points are, so you know where you can grow and become the better version of you in your community. So I like you guys' answers. I think they were awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's on to you, Moria. I'm going to throw it to you.
Oh, well, thank you, ladies, for this discussion. Um, and your openness to having these kinds of important discussions. Viewers, I hope we've given you something to think about, and we thank you for your participation. Now, on to Mimi with today's special guest, Simone Barkley.
Thank you so much, Moria, and thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our discussion. I appreciate it, and I've had a blast. We are going to our next segment of the day, which is super exciting. My name is Mimi, once again, and I am starting my first year of college, which is really exciting. And so we are going to bring up today Miss Simone Barkley for our presentation. Good morning.
Good morning, Mimi. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you so much again for joining us today.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Could you please take some time and talk to us about your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I have some slides. Is that okay for us to go with? Awesome. Okay, y'all. So, hi, I'm Simone, and that's my handle on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow me or reach out to me afterwards. So, it's just easy for me to put that there. So, it's at Scientist Simone because I am trained as a marine biologist. And let's go. Let's get into it. So, a little bit about me. I do a lot of different things, and the goal of what I'm trying to do right now, as I, share this information with you, is show you just how broad marine science is. Tell you about, how my career doesn't look one way; it looks many different ways. I do lots of different things, and the there are no like limits really. I really want you all to understand that like, you can make your career what you want it to be, even if traditionally it might not look a certain way. And so as I go through the things that I have participated in and done in my career, you will hopefully see that. And so I have my own business. I have STEM kits that I created for elementary school students. I am the Chief Learning Officer in Black and Marine Science, which is a nonprofit. And I worked to organize a lot of these larger efforts that started these organizations that are centered around Black people in STEM organizations. So in 2020, we organized something called the Black Birders Week after Christian Cooper was called on the police when he was the police were called on him when he was trying to tell a white woman in New York City to, leash her dog because he was birding. He's a professional birder. And it caused a lot of conversation about the discomfort that Black people feel when we work in the outdoors, even though we're so passionate about the work, but how others do not think we should be in this space. And so it led to us developing our own communities like you all talked about. And so same goes for Elasmo Week, which Elasmo Branks, that's a group of fishes, and it's sharks and rays sit under Elasmo Branks, and chimeras as well, but mainly sharks and rays. And I studied sharks, and so that's a very, very much so white male dominated field. So again, there was a need to create a community where we all felt safe. So next slide, please. And so when we talk about marine science, I want to just quickly give you a little bit to let you know how broad the field is. It encompasses the ocean, its characteristics, and all of its inhabitants. And that means something as big as like a whale, which probably comes to mind, things as small as plankton, which you can't even see usually with the naked eye, or zooplankton, or oysters, right? Or barnacles, things that don't move, things that stay in one place for their entire life, and things that travel far distances like sharks and whales and turtles, right? Marine science is including chemistry and communication and ecology and fisheries and policy and microbiology. You can work in a lab, you can work in a boat, you can work in a classroom, you can work in an office, you can work with court systems, right? You can do so many different things. You can work in education, and that's where I spend a lot of my time. Next slide, please. And so this is just to show you a little bit of the different things I've done as we go through these next couple of slides. So, one part of marine science is also advocating for fisheries, right? And fisheries are where people catch fish recreationally or commercially. And so we talk a lot about sustainable seafood. That means harvesting seafood for people to eat, but in a way that does not harm the species that you're catching and the species around them. Okay. And so I have worked with horseshoe crabs. That's what you see me holding at the bottom. I've gotten to travel to lots of different places like the Bahamas and Puerto Rico and so many different states, Oregon and Washington. And so, I mean, just to do this, to do the research and to share my work, because it's also really important to share the research that you do as a marine scientist. Next slide. And so I am an educator and a science communicator. And so I do this through different avenues. I host a show called Ocean Today every full moon, and I tell people about different ocean topics with these shows. And we're going to play a short clip, just a really short clip, to like give you a picture of what it seems like when I'm hosting these shows.
In the dark of the deep ocean live creatures that could practically come from another world. They are fascinating, beautiful, and mysterious. They are so bizarre to us because they've evolved in an environment that is completely different from ours. With no air and no sunlight, it's almost as though they're living in outer space. In near complete darkness, many generate their own light to scare away predators, capture food, or attract mates. Some have gigantic eyes, or none at all, or senses that can feel electrical charges. Some have built-in lures that attract prey and teeth that bite and never let go. They may be weird, but they are also amazing. Join us in their world as we creep into the deep. Let's get started.
Yeah, so that's just to show you, that you can do work as a science communicator on green screen and live filming situations. I do podcasts as well. I host a podcast called the Planet Noah Podcast. And so there's lots of opportunities for you to share about the science that you do. Next slide. And I'm also a researcher. So I said I studied sharks. I studied sand tiger and sandbar sharks in Delaware Bay. I also studied blue crabs and the importance of them, as we know, right? Especially in Baltimore, where I'm from, in Maryland. Blue crabs are a really big deal to our economy because they bring in so much money because folks love to eat them. And so I had to research them to see how does low levels of oxygen in the bay impact the blue crabs. Are they able to survive when there are low levels of oxygen in the bay? So those are things that people might not think of that are really important, right, when it comes to making sure that we manage the fishery. So next slide. This is going to just be another slide of doing some work with sharks. This is a sand tiger shark right here. And this is a male. There are claspers there, like right under the fins. You'll see that there's like a piece of them that's pretty long. Those are called claspers. That's how we know it's a male. And what you see me doing with scissors is I'm taking a small clip of the dorsal fin. This is for a genetic sample so that we can log this shark and keep track of it as it grows and as it moves. There's a tag in here to identify it later. Next slide. So I spend a lot of time on boats. And then this will just let me flow right into this. I spent a lot of time on boats when I was in graduate school. That's me with other sand tiger sharks doing work with them. And then I went into a different program where I went to study policy, and I got to work in Washington, D.C. and did a lot of events at the White House. This was a while ago, but did a lot of events at the White House. And it was really cool to be able to recognize how different parts of marine science impact folks in their lives. And next slide. And so I got to do a turtle release and got to go to San Francisco where we learned about buoys and how they are and how we collect data from buoys. Next slide. You can go to the next slide. I kind of already talked about many of those things. And then this is something that's also different, but really, really cool. So I got approached by Venus, like Venus Gillette, like the shaving company. And they reached out to me and wanted to give me funds to help out my community. So again, when you're talking about your community and what your responsibility is to your community, I agree that my responsibility is to, help others, provide feedback, to, help them if they have any gaps in, their resources, and I can provide those resources to them. Then what I like to do is do that. So I built a program where we had some young women come and I got to teach them about ocean science. And if you want to throw that video, it'll be the last video we look at for the Venus Wave Makers. Awesome. And so last but not least, I just want to reiterate, right, how vast this field is. I talked about how I've studied blue crabs and sharks and algae and horseshoe crabs, and I got to travel to so many different places to present my research. And only 2% of PhDs are awarded to people in geosciences, which is where marine science sits. So there's not a lot of people in it, and there definitely aren't a lot of Black people. Next slide. And so just wanted to show you that this field is really broad. Again, we have folks who are in environmental science. Next slide. Folks who are in education. Next slide. Folks who are in ichthyology. That's the study of fishes. Next slide. We have folks who do ecology and communication. So when I talked about me doing communication and like doing voiceovers or hosting, we have people like Inga Cresswell, who is a wildlife filmmaker. She filmed a deep sea coral reef that was over 1,700 feet deep in Antarctica, where people have never been before. So this is the power of the work that we do. Next slide. And so folks are in oceanography, maritime archaeology. This field is really large. You can just go to the next slide as I close, keep going as I close. And so I just want to show you all that there are lots of different opportunities. There's lots of different ways that you can make this work your own and help you to reach your community and to give them what you feel like they need. And that's what Black and Marine Science is all about. And so very happy to be here and looking forward to our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Barkley. I thought it was really interesting hearing about marine biology, which is so cool, especially hearing about the sharks. That was my favorite.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much again. And thank you so much for our viewers for listening. I would like to take a moment to bring up Moria and Savannah for some quick questions for Ms. Barkley. Anyone in the chat, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to pass them along as we go through our discussion. But before we do that, we will have a quick break to learn more about our Career Day opportunities.
I work at Lockheed Martin as a cybersecurity systems engineer, and I've been at Lockheed for 19 years. The role of cybersecurity engineering has a tremendous impact on the mission to deliver secure systems to our customers. I have 3 children. My kids are the center of my universe. I would not be able to continue working effectively as a working parent if it had not been for the flexibility in our work schedule and the flexibility of our leaders to help me exercise a flexible work schedule. One of the reasons why I've been at Lockheed Martin for 19 years is because I think the culture and the values that we demonstrate really reflect my own personal values. Performing with excellence, acting with integrity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. So we're going to start with our discussion. I'll pass on the first question that I have for you. In being a marine biologist and, exploring the different areas of the sea, how would you say that being, a Black woman in marine biology and, you mentioned earlier it's mainly a white male-dominated field. How would you say that your community has supported you in a lot of the projects that you've done?
So, I mean, this is why Black and Marine Science was built, is because we didn't have a lot of support, especially when me and my colleagues were younger, when we were your age, when we were first going into school. And, we said we were going to study marine science, and we were great because we got, our internships and we got to go to these conferences. And that was awesome, right? The conferences were, ones where we were funded, like we didn't have to worry about like paying for travel, which is a huge barrier, right, to people being able to participate in these types of programs. So it was awesome that there were, programs where we got to meet other people who looked like us. But when we were at the conferences, there was still only a handful of us. So imagine, I don't know, 70, Black students from universities around the country all coming to these national and international conferences with other marine scientists, and we're still a drop in the bucket, in the sense of that there's everybody else doesn't look like us. We're still the only one. So we feel really cool and powerful when we get together, but then when we get there, we're still alienated. We're still pushed to the side. We're still being asked, like, do you really know this information, or are you sure that you're the person that should be speaking about this? You're still having to prove your expertise, and that's not helpful. And so that is why Black Marine Science was created. And since these organizations like BIMS, like Minorities in Shark Sciences or Minorities in Aquaculture, these are all organizations that focus on people who are in marine science field and different aspects of it. We are able to advocate for one another. And now when, someone is saying, hey, I want to go to a particular lab and do research, like, oh, I've been to that lab space before, and these are things that I encountered there. Maybe we don't want to have you go here, but let's help you get into another space, right? Or writing folks letters of recommendation. That's also a really big deal, so that we can get into the programs that we should be allowed into from the get-go. And so the community has been really strong and just like a sounding board, and letting people air their grievances and say, how things are going, if they need assistance, if they need support in finishing their work, all of those things. And so I really appreciate that we have come together to create work like this.
I think that's amazing and beautiful. Like, I kind of connected to what you were saying about feeling like empowered and strengthened when you're around those who also look like you and interested in the topics as you, because, I'm going into robotics. And so, as you already know, engineering is already a male dominated field, let alone people ask me like, hey, am I supposed to be talking to you about this? Am I supposed to, are you sure you know what you're talking about? Like, yes, I'm not in the field because I decided to do it for fun. So I thought that was amazing, because there's not many communities that listen to our point of view and really help you from the ground up. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I agree, because it even goes back to what we talked about at like when we first opened the segment about community. Because even for me, like, I'm taking business classes right now, and business is like, if you look at the classes, most of the people on the roster are boys, and it's just like, I'm just like, there's literally like 2 girls in my class. I'm like, oh, so it's kind of like, it makes you like feel a little bit small. But when you find a community of people that are like you, like, oh, this girl knows about stocks or whatever, like whatever's going on, then it's like, oh wait, like we can actually talk about this. So I also agree with that as well.
Love it.
Thank you so much. I'll also ask another question. I'm sorry, but would you say that since it was kind of difficult to, I guess, start in the field in a sense, how did you know that marine biology was a place that you wanted to start?
I mean, I knew when I was younger, to be honest, like it was something that I knew when I was in middle school, maybe. So um, I actually started out as an exhibit guide at National Aquarium, which is in Baltimore. And I had to learn about every single exhibit in the aquarium. They gave us like this big binder, and I still have it, but they gave us like this huge binder. I'm looking up because it's like right above me, which is crazy because that was a really long time ago. But it's this huge binder with all the animals and all the habitats. And we had to learn about all of them so that when guests came up, and they asked questions, they would expect us to know the answer. When you go to a museum or zoo or wherever, and you're asking a question about what you see, you expect that person to know the answer. So that was me. That's what I was doing. And so once I did that, I was like, oh, I love marine science. I want to do this. And I knew I wanted to go to a HBCU that had a marine science program. And Hampton University has an outstanding one. And so when I went to visit Hampton, that is when I was like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely going here. And I'm definitely studying marine science. And so that that's why I decided to do it. And so I and to be very, very frank, even though the like field and sometimes the work was off-putting and sometimes alienating and frustrating, I will say that I was a recipient of a lot of different like awards and programs, and I really did not have that I didn't have that hard of a time transitioning to different things because I was really open to me trying new stuff. So, for example, right, like I did work in something called the Conservation Job Corps, where did work in a state park, and so that's not necessarily marine science, but it is about the outdoors. It is about nature. It is about connecting to your space. It is about building new materials so that we would like refurbish the trails, for example. There are all kinds of things that we were doing. And that same work can be applied to when I was doing work with sharks because we had to build our gear that we would use with the sharks. And so even though, it might not always seem linear, there are lots of connections that I think that you can make with the work that you do. And Savannah, when you were like, I like fashion and that's not STEM, girl, yes, it is. Fashion is absolutely related to STEM and it's related to marine science too. When you talk about like the way that materials are put together and then what happens after you wash materials repeatedly, how that
Oh
goes into
yeah.
like all of those things are connected. And so I think that that's also something that I try to drive home is that like sometimes the connections don't seem that obvious, but there are so many ways that all of these things are just feeding off of one another. And if we can be conscious of that, I think that we would have a lot better chance at making sure that like our environment is safer, it's cleaner, it's better, because it does impact all of us in different ways. And you can absolutely be I'm just gonna say fashionista. That probably sounds old, but you can still be somebody who cares about fashion, right? And not be contributing to fast fashion or to like that supply where like you're constantly buying new things over and over again. You can still do that without. You can still care about fashion and care how you look and wear nice things and all of those things without being one of the contributors to those things.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely thrifting. I love thrifting actually. Like I like sustainable things because and then like when you look back at it, and also I like having like things that other people don't have. So like I love
Mhm.
having something old and it's like, oh y'all definitely don't have that. Bye. Like I love that so much. So and it goes back to contributing to the earth, global warming and whatnot is definitely an issue and we should always care about our community and where we live. So I definitely think that's important too. I actually have a question for you. This is more of an opinionated question.
Okay.
So, as you are a marine biologist, what do you think about like the whole like only 25, I think like only 25% of the ocean has been discovered really.
Yeah, it's probably less, but yes.
Yeah, like what do you think about like them discovering it like more in the future? Do you think that they would go through with that? Or like I don't know. I just wanted to hear someone's professional opinion because I'm like, to be honest, I'm kind of scared of what's down there. I don't know. They could be finding like a crazy looking creature and it's like we shouldn't have looked at that. But then again, for science, it's always good to explore. So what do you think?
Okay, so yes, the much of those more about 30%, but I mean in real life that's what they're going to say on paper, but for real it's less than the ocean has been explored. And the reason that hasn't been explored is because the ocean is hard to get to, like to get to where most of the water is in the ocean, which is in the deep ocean. To get into the deep ocean, you need to be in a submarine, need to be in a special vehicle, right? And those cost a lot of money. There aren't that many of them out there, right? And so it's really hard to get there, and it costs a lot of money to run those like expeditions as well. So it's
Definitely.
just it's just the reason that it hasn't been explored is because it's hard to um to learn about everything that's in the ocean. I don't know that we will ever explore all of the ocean. I mean, I don't think that we will. I don't think that we have the capacity. I don't think we have the resources. I don't think we have the time. I think that you're right, that there are definitely probably things that we don't know about. But the cool thing about the ocean is that, like, it can tell us so much more about like life and the earth gets a lot of times can get created, and we can use things that we've learned from the ocean to apply to us. For example, right, like we learned about or I've known that sponges, for example, they can use some sponges to create, like, to do cancer research. And so, like, we have to be studying the ocean the same way that the Amazon, if you talk about like the Amazon rainforest, the Amazon and those plants in there provide a lot of medicines for us. And the same can be said for what we learn in the ocean. Sharks, for example, have really, really amazing their skin is called dermal denticles. And so, like, it's not regular skin, but like anyway, it's called dermal denticles. And so, and it feels like sandpaper. But the cool thing about the dermal denticles is that it reduces drag. So, like, that helps them to swim through the water faster, easier. And so, some Olympic swimmers, they have like their suits have modeled after what dermal denticles look like. The material is made in the same way. Some boats have that same thing. So I'm bringing it up to say that we learn so much from the ocean. We have to keep exploring the ocean. The ocean provides so much to us. It provides our oxygen. The oxygen you breathe, yes, comes from trees, but also from the ocean, because the ocean has plants, the ocean has phytoplankton, and they produce oxygen. Like
That is
50% of our oxygen. That's a lot because most of our planet is water. So most of our oxygen comes from water, from the ocean. So that's a really big deal. Food, like I talked about, sustainable seafood, right? And then also, like I'm just mentioning, right, like food, or medicines, or things that we can apply in our lives. So I think that the ocean is scary, because I agree, those can be very scary. But it also is so empowering, and it's so freeing, and it is beautiful, and it can help to calm you. It can do so many things for you. And so I really hope that people are excited about the ocean. And even if you're scared, it's just like still spend some time there, because I mean, there is nothing better, I think, than sitting on the beach or anywhere, right? It doesn't even have to be the ocean, right? It can be a lake, a river, whatever, but water holds so much power. Yeah.
Mhm. Excuse me. Can I ask one more question before we close out? Um,
Yes.
so I saw your video with the kids, and I thought it was really cute. Um, how does how are you paying it forward in your community to kids and people younger than you?
Yeah. So thank you. I mean, I was really excited when Venus and Gillette reached out to me to say that they wanted to give me funds to do something that I wanted to do. I didn't have to do that, but that's what I chose to do. So to answer your question, right, like I want to give back as much as I can. And so for that event, I wanted to make sure that young women in my area knew about science and that they saw people who looked like them teaching them. And so I asked my friends who are also marine scientists and also educators for them to, do interactions with the students. And I think that that is also a way that I try my best to give back, to pay it forward. Is not only about younger people, but it's also about my peers. It's also about the people who are with me along this journey and how they can advance themselves, right? So I wanted them to get an opportunity to, talk about the science that they do. I have a mentee, for example, who I asked to participate in that event. I have a mentee who is really into music. She loves science and marine science, but she also is very passionate about music. And she was having a hard time figuring out how she could merge both of them. And so what she did was, we did a session on marine debris. So trash and how trash ends up in the ocean, and then how that can, end up, animals can ingest it or get entangled, all of those things. And so we collected trash and then cleaned it, of course. And then she used it to help the students make instruments. And then they made a song. So like, that's something that is really interesting. Something that I think empowered her to feel like, hey, I can still do music, or I can still talk about music or show my passion for music while also being a scientist. And since we did that, she really gained a lot of confidence. And now she's in a whole fellowship program on environmental science that we just got her into. So like, that is how I pay it forward. I do my very best to be like a sustained mentor. I'm not a mentor that, we kind of do one-offs. I am connected to my young people forever, as long as they want to be, as long as I want to be, we locked in. So that was years ago, and now we still rocking, and so that's what I try to do. My STEM kits, that's another way I pay it forward. I gave those STEM kits out for free to lots of schools in Baltimore City, so that kids could do STEM learning at home during COVID. And then it was really well received. And so we have continued to do that. That's probably the biggest deal to me is to be someone who is looked at as, dependable and as a resource and as someone who others can trust. And I pride myself on that.
That's really cool and beautiful. Thank you.
I definitely agree too. I thought that was so interesting. Like how you also mentioned earlier, with fashion too, you don't have to throw away your interest just because your field requires something different, just because it might not seem like it relates. Like you just give an amazing example how music and, collecting and cleaning the ocean can tie together. So I think that was so amazing.
Thanks,
Thank you
y'all.
so
Thank y'all for having me.
Of course, anytime. I thought it was awesome. And based on the girls' response too, I bet they loved it just as much.
Definitely.
Thank you once again. And thank you for our viewers for listening. To our viewers, if you know anyone that might be a good BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day expert, please let us know, because we would love to have another amazing guest like we've had today. Before I turn it over to Savannah for our month's inventor, we are going to go back to our word from Lockheed Martin. We had a technical glitch from earlier.
I work at Lockheed Martin as a cybersecurity systems engineer, and I've been at Lockheed for 19 years. The role of cybersecurity engineering has a tremendous impact on the mission to deliver secure systems to our customers. I have 3 children. My kids are the center of my universe. I would not be able to continue working effectively as a working parent if it had not been for the flexibility in our work schedule and the flexibility of our leaders to help me exercise a flexible work schedule. One of the reasons why I've been at Lockheed Martin for 19 years is because I think the culture And the values that we demonstrate really reflect my own personal values. Performing with excellence, acting with integrity, those are steadfast values that we talk about day to day. I have seen great changes in the diversity within our company. 19 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of women in leadership, so the few that we had were highly coveted. Today, I'm proud to say that we see quite a few women in leadership roles. The advice that I would provide to young women and girls who are interested in STEM is go for it. You can do it. Don't let anyone stop you.
Hi everyone, it's Savannah, and I'm a senior in high school, as I've said previously. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody for engaging in today's interview and questions for Simone Berkeley. And thank you to Mrs. Berkeley as well for coming on and showing us how excited you are about marine biology, and also for educating us as well for people who didn't know as much. So I'd like to start off by saying, let's learn about another talented STEM inventor, Dr. Roger Arliner Young, pioneering doctor of zoology. Dr. Arliner Young was the first African-American woman to achieve a PhD in zoology. She was a researcher and an activist who fought to eliminate racism, sexism, and classism, which still go on today. Young grew up in Pennsylvania before attending Howard University, where she studied under Ernest Everett Just. The two of them formed a strong bond of mentorship and support, and just encouraged her to stay in the sciences and helped her find funding for her graduate school. After beginning her PhD studies at the University of Chicago, Young completed them at the University of Pennsylvania, where she received her doctorate in zoology. She was the first Black woman to publish in the journal Science, but was excluded from the authorship on numerous papers to which she contributed to throughout her master's and her doctorate studies. Today, she is remembered for her scientific contributions, such as describing internal structure of a single-celled parasium, and I'm guessing that's an organism, and for the examples of how she fought racism and sexism, and she encouraged, and what she encountered throughout her studies in her career. Her legacy is partially captured now in the Roger Arliner Young Diversity Fellowship Program, a paid fellowship for recent college undergraduates that focuses on increasing career opportunities for historically underrepresented communities in the U.S. conservation sector. So sorry. Students, we hope all of you are enjoying learning about today's STEM careers at BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day. streamed live from STEM City, USA. Not every pioneer has an easy path forward, but the stories like today shows how people can achieve greatness even in the face of great challenges, which should also be something viewers should take from today. Now, we'd like to hear from you. Tell us your thoughts about today's STEM inventor and how they inspired you. Keep searching for new opportunities to learn. You never know where they will take you. Next month, we will share another STEM inventor who has changed our lives through STEM. Let's take a quick commercial break to learn about STEM City USA.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support, where health education is abundant, where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children with caring mentors and hands-on activities with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
So, um, now we will have Mimi's moments. Mimi?
Hi, Moria.
Hi.
Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome back to another Mimi's Moments. It's been a while. It's been busy. And so I'm excited for this month's Mimi's Moments because today it's going to be me and Moria, and we're going to be talking about our experiences with college. So we were going to do something different where I'm going to start talking about aspects that I enjoy or think that's different being on campus. And we're just going to go back and forth and talk. So hope you guys like it. So as I've mentioned, I think 2 months back, I am now at Arizona State University, which has definitely been a eye-opening experience. I've enjoyed it a lot. It's different, coming to college, it's a different experience from high school because, you're at home and there's a lot of a bit of restrictions while freedom, but college, it's really up to you and you're really dependent on yourself, and it kind of forces you to grow up, which isn't a bad thing, but it's definitely a different experience that you have to get used to. And I enjoy all the fun activities that they do because they know a bunch of freshmen are nervous and do miss home, and especially coming from out of state, they know that you don't have all the resources that you need, so they really make sure to accommodate to meet everyone's needs, as well as making sure everyone feels welcome. So how would you say, Moria, first a little bit of background of your educational standpoint right now, and what would you think is the pros and cons about doing college from a home perspective?
So now I'm a sophomore in college. I'm going to Santa Fe College in Gainesville. And I feel like it's been a ride. Like I feel like every semester feels like an individual season. I was talking to my friend about this earlier. It's like every season, every semester feels like a season in a TV show. And
Yeah.
so when I first got there, I felt very I felt very green. I felt very new, very fresh. I didn't know anybody. Um,
Yes.
so I just kind of had a sense of being nervous. But as the semester progressed and then new semester, you meet more people and you kind of get into a groove and it kind of gives you more of a sense of confidence, I feel. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and you meet a whole lot of people. Some people you like, some people you don't like, some people you fall out with. Um, but it's definitely fun. Definitely fun. I feel like for the first 2 months, I was kind of like sticking to myself, and I was kind of like going from library to cafeteria to classes, like just staying in this triangle. But then I started branching out, joining clubs, and yeah, you kind of get into some drama with people. But what do you think? When did you move in, and how are you feeling so far?
Okay. I really like your point that you made. I can definitely relate to that. I know that you're a sophomore, but I can definitely relate to what you mean about like the little go from here, then I'll just go to my room, then I'll just go back to class. Like you definitely do run in that little circle when there's not much to do. But I think I personally moved in on August. No, I actually don't remember, but it was before school started. School started the 22nd. And so I think I've been here for a month so far. And I enjoy it. I do also tend to go to my classes and come back to my room. And it's definitely different from high school. I guess you can say that I would personally say college is a bit more liberating and definitely a bit more flexible because your schedule is really based around you. It's not like a tight crunch of span where you have, okay, class, and you only have like 5 minutes to get to class, and you have lunch, and then you have this to go to, then this, and then the day ends, and it's like you're all knocked, and it's like college. You can space out your classes, and that's what I did, and so I tend to have a bit more gaps. So you're not as overwhelmed as the time crunch can be. But for some people, it might be different. But for me personally, my gap is a little breezy. Um, I think overall, I'm adjusting really well. I do miss home, but I think for the most part, college is definitely an experience that I would say everyone should at least try once because there's so much you can learn. And coming from out of state, and I'm the only person here, it really forces you in a position to get to know and meet new people. And you will be so shocked how many people that you get to meet. Even though I go to a PWI, I'm on the tech campus, and there is so many people that I have never even met before. Like a lot are international. And what I mean by international, it's like from places like France and places in Europe and a lot from India. And even Singapore, there's a lot of amazing places that people are from. So being here has really opened my eyes and given me the opportunity to hear more about everyone's background, but as well as take appreciation to a lot of other cultures, which has been really amazing.
That sounds really fun. I have a lot of international students at my school too. They're like from South America and just Nigeria, China, all those places. And so it's interesting seeing all the cultural differences because I do things this way, but you do
Yeah,
things that way. And it's very interesting to see. And you have to collaborate with people who you never even really
I
like.
definitely agree. I hope that we can do another moment like this for next month because I've had so much fun talking with you.
Same here.
Of course. Thank you so much again, guys, for listening. And thank you so much for all of our amazing speakers and Savannah for helping us here. And, everyone in general, I've had so much fun. I'm going to pass it over to you, Moria, to wrap us up.
Thank you to all who joined us for Career Day. We appreciate your insights in the chat and your opinions and questions. I'm inspired today to think about my community and what I'm doing to be an outstanding member. I hope everyone is encouraged to do the same. Thank you to our Career Day speakers, Simone Barkley, for joining us today and sharing your experiences and insights. And please remember to visit STEMcityUSA.com for more BEYA STEM career segments. We would like to give a very special thanks to our BEYA STEM Career Day sponsor, Lockheed Martin. They are known for their groundbreaking work in aerospace, arms, defense, information security, and technology around the world. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us for the next Career Day on October 4th, 2024. Live from the 2024 Women of Color STEM Conference, where we will feature even more STEM professionals, college students, and high school standouts. I am ready to explore new STEM careers with you. See you next time. This is Moria Bowman signing off.
Every day at Lockheed Martin, we are creating the future. When did I decide to become an engineer? Where I grew up in my village, we had a lot of interaction with nature. So I was always fascinated by the flight of the hummingbird. Seeing this marvelous aerodynamics of the hummingbird gave me this general idea that I wanted to be working on the ability to control things that flew. I've had this long running curiosity, I still do today, of asking the question, why is this the way it is? Are there ways to improve what it does? And in fact, those are the same questions we ask every day at Lockheed Martin. That's why my colleagues come to work saying, this is great, we've done all these great things, we've built all these great systems. How could we make it better? And how could we make it better together? Lockheed Martin's engineers and scientists are at the forefront of innovation. Everything from AI and machine learning to hypersonics to directed energy. Individually, all these are really critical capabilities that we need to develop. To actually deliver something ahead of ready to our customers, it takes pulling these pieces together into an overall mission capability. What we are doing here matters to our nation, to our nation's security.
From every corner, from far and wide, our talents merge, our futures tied. In science, tech, and all the arts, we find our way, we play our parts, reach for the stars.